ever played one of these before? It's a high string, or Nashville high strung, or Nashville strung, or whatever. A lot of people like to put the word Nashville in the title. I guess it's pretty popular around here. But basically what it is a guitar tuned like a normal guitar, except the lower 4 strings are an octave up. So it's basically the high octave pair of a 12 string. And if you remember, with a 12 string, the top 2 strings are unisons, right? This is a B, just like a normal acoustic. And this is an E, just like a normal acoustic, right? Those 2 strings aren't an octave up. The rest of them, that's an octave up. So you get this really interesting, like you can arpeggiate across a chord. Like those notes are exactly the same. Instead of your third fret of your B string being an octave higher than your open D string, you brought the open D string up an octave, so it's the same note. And the same is true for the G notes. The G note at the 3rd fret of the high E and the open G string. So what's cool about this guitar and this flavor is that it can function like a shaker that sounds like a chord, okay? That's just the acoustic chair in general in Nashville right now. There's a lot of important parts that come out in the intros and in the verses and whatever, but when the chorus is big and full, a full-size acoustic strumming, a high string strumming, or a bouzouki or a mandolin or a banjo, it's almost more important that what they're doing rhythmically in terms of the subdivision and how they're locking in with different parts of the drum kit, whether that's the hat or whatever, is almost more important. They sort of operate and fill a percussive role. So what I like to do with this myself, and a lot of other people like to do this as well, you can create a 12 string part by doubling exactly a normal acoustic with one of these high-strung acoustics. So the benefit that you get is that you can then sort of pan it if you want a little bit and have like a stereo kind of 12-string vibe. So I just put these strings on. I broke the high G, the open G string, which is really tiny, and I was just tuning. It always happens when you're tuning on these guitars. Or unless you're beating on it pretty hard, I guess you could. But so I just went ahead and replaced all 6 strings. I'm going to stretch them out. I want to go upstairs and show you what I mean. I'm going to play a pass on a normal acoustic and then come back and double it with this high string, and I'll show you kind of what I'm talking about in terms of that interesting stereo image 12 string vibe. So let's go upstairs. All right, so we're back upstairs. I've got my acoustic, well, one of my acoustics. This is my old Harmony Sovereign. It's a 62, and it's fantastic. I love it. It sounds really great. I'm gonna play a really simple part and record it, and then I'm gonna double it with this high string guitar and show you what I mean about getting this sort of stereo 12 string image. So let's get a track ready here and see if I can play something that I can remember well enough to double it. Exactly. Here we go. Okay, I went a little long for something I'm just going to double off the cuff, but here we go. Put that down. Pick up the old high string. I should probably quadruple check my tuning here. If you notice, I was capoed on the first fret on my harmony. I kind of leave that guitar down a half step or sometimes a whole step. There's just so much that I encounter that's written that way, where the songwriter was using a guitar a half step down or even a whole step down. It just makes sense for it to be ready. And then I'll capo 1 if I want to play a standard tuning, or 2 if I were down a whole step. Okay, so, well, there they are. They're pretty close. Let's pan them and give them a good boost here and see if we can get a nice stereo 12 string going on here. So I'm gonna share my screen for this, I believe. Let's see if I can do that, if I can remember how to do that. Oh yes, I can. Good deal. Okay, so here are my 2 tracks. Here we go. So, yeah, it's really dependent on how tight you can play the 2 of them, right? So, if you can come up with a part that you really like for your normal acoustic, then just double it exactly, and make sure you've got a lot of your original acoustic in your headphones. The way that I did this, you may not have heard the click coming through to your feed. I've got Pro Tools set up now to where if I record acoustic, I can set the click to just come through the headphones. For me, I have a separate headphone mix, and I've used Console from Universal Audio to put whatever I want in that cue mix, and I can select it for my headphone out on my Apollo Twin. So the nice thing about this is, well, let's play it again, and we can put them both up the middle, so they're not panned at all. just the main acoustic. Bring the fader back up. It's super cool. It's just really chimey. It adds a chimey element. I don't know how somebody would mix this. I would replay this because it wasn't super tight. And again, it was just a part right off the top of my head. On a session, I would have a game plan. I'd have a bunch of other things to listen to and to play off of, upon which to base that game plan. And then the stack would be pretty tight. So anyway, these are super cool guitars. You can get that set of strings that for an acoustic. Don't be alarmed. It's only got one wound string, because this A is really the same pitch as the A at the 2nd fret of the G string. This open D is the same pitch as the 3rd fret of your high B string, or your only B string. This G is the same pitch as the 3rd fret of the high E, so it doesn't make sense to wind them. They don't need to be they don't need to be bigger. But yeah, I'll have a link to some of those strings in the description if you're interested. Have a good day. See ya.